Easy people, nice things here. Just a quick one about the 3.1 update. For anybody who's just gone out and got an Akai Force, welcome. And if you're watching this, welcome. This wouldn't really affect you. It's for anybody who coming from the 3.06. And additionally, I just want to quickly give you an idea of what this streaming is, because a lot of people will probably be wondering what it is at this moment in time. Basically, the Akai Force only has 1 gig of usable memory. It's got 2 gigs of RAM in there, but really the rest of that RAM is used for effects and moving things about and functions and blah, blah, blah. So basically it's only got 1 gig of memory in the Akai Force that you can use. And as soon as that memory is filled, that's your lot. Now, for some people that might not be anything, but for others, that's been really cumbersome because they've wanted to use it live and they wanted to just kind of use it as a kind of playback machine or different things, because the Force can be used for so many different functions that a lot of people are like, well, I'm limited by that. Now, with the 3.1, it has a thing called disk streaming, which means it works in the same way that a computer works, in that it uses your actual storage as memory. And what this means is if you have a terabyte worth of storage, you've basically got a terabyte worth of memory. All right, in reality, you've got 930 gigs worth of memory because it needs to kind of do this format thing and all that shenanigans. But basically, you've basically got unlimited memory, and that's the difference, because it's not drawing from the memory inside the Akai Force, it's drawing from the memory inside the storage. And the storage can be an SD card or USB stick or a hard drive or an SSD. Reason why I always advise the SSD is for speed. Some people are saying that the speed is negligible and you could use a HDD drive for that. I would err on using an SSD drive because you never know what the future might bring, and you might end up with a HDD drive where you go, oh dear, I never saw them doing that. So that's why I would say go for the SSD. You can use an SD card as well. That's probably fine as well. So it's up to you. It's just how many cards you want about. So anyway, that's basically disk streaming, and it's just a way that you've got unlimited audio memory, so you can record films and you can do anything. It's as long as you've got that memory. So the maximum, I think, is 4 terabytes, but I might be wrong. It might be 8 terabytes. I can't remember what the largest was. I remember it used to be 4 terabytes. So that's that. Now, the second thing, with this new update, there is something which is slightly changed about the way the Akai Force saves. Each time that you load a new project, anytime you save that project, the first time you do, it's going to always save everything in that project again, regardless of the status. So, for example, this project here, I've got now. So if I was to load this project again, so I'm going to load it now. Well, I'll do it this way. If I was to save this project, I've not done anything to it. If I go Shift Save, which is quick save, it's just going to save it. Blam. No problem. But now if I was to go back and load this project again, and then I was to save this project, this is what happens. It saves everything again. So just keep that in mind. Basically, after it's done that, anything that I add to it, anything that I change, will just save the only things that I change. So in its most simplest form, what the Akai Force does now is it initially saves the status of the project, and then moving forward, whilst the machine is on, it'll save anything additional which has changed in that project. Now, for quite a few people, it's not going to really be, for most people in reality, it's not going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue if you're the type of person who's like this. Well, basically, I like to work on a tune for 5 minutes, then I'm going to work on another tune for another 5 minutes, and I'm going to do that for 8 hours continuously. Then this is going to be a problem for you, because each time you load up a new project, you're going to have it resaving all over again. So just keep that in mind. I would say this: if you are that kind of person You might want to hold off. I don't know if they're going to ever fix this because they're going to probably do a pros and cons. Because the other way they would have to do it, and again, my coding knowledge is pretty limited, would be similar to how a computer does it. It looks at the size of the file in the project file data, this thing here. It would look at that and then it would say, well, what's different? How much is different? And then it'd look through each one of the audios and say, oh, they're the same. Now, that might be a whole load of coding, and it's just easier to say, we know what's on this machine at that time, so we'll save that status. Anytime we change it, we reset the status, so we save everything. So, again, I've gone on a little longer than I wanted, but the simplest thing is, it's something about the coding, what they've done. I would like them to change it. I don't think they will, because I'm sure this is way easier to program this way than it would be to have it kind of do a I don't know, recall of each piece of audio in a project in a folder on a disk, which I don't have a fixed size knowledge of that disk except for when it's brought in initially. I know that was a load of jargon. So basically, fundamentally, if you're working on this, you want to work at one project at a time with the knowledge that you know it's going to resave everything else each time you change that project. But as long as you're on that project, it's not going to change anything. It's just going to add or take away. Any questions or anything that anybody's unsure of, tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. And have fun. And until I see you again, peace.